Hello, everyone. This is Lenard the Guzman with Emily Robinson here on the Life After D podcast. It is September 9th, 2020. We are, I guess, like within 2 months-ish from the election. So I don't know if that has anything to do with divorce or it's just on your mind.
Just people fighting more if they can't agree on
Yeah,
things.
who to vote for, like
Right.
families.
People
Right.
getting upset with each other, and I don't know. I've noticed tensions seem to be running much higher with people in general, and I don't know if that's because school started or the election or fires. I don't know, but I think people are feeling a lot more stressed out.
Yeah, I just got some notification. I go on this Nextdoor app so I can
Oh
see
yeah.
what's going on. Yeah, and there's like a councilwoman because I'm in this windy fire area where
Yeah.
so I got like a bag. My wife and I have a bag with our stuff, our
Ready to
passports and
go.
docs, ready to go. So I don't know. We'll see.
You have to in Southern California.
Okay, so in this part of the show, we're going to go over some divorce news, um, stuff we see. Mostly, I see a celebrity divorce because that's how we learn about divorce here. I mean, about how the procedures work, because it gets our attention. So let's go through some news. Always go to our TMZ. That's our source. Okay, so Dr. Dre, he's back in the divorce. Dr. Dre's divorce. Nicole makes demand, which is his ex-wife, sit your spoiled ASS for a grilling. Dr. Dre's estranged wife is pulling no punches when it comes to the divorce case, essentially calling him a spoiled brat who needs to stop acting like he's above the law. Nicole Young filed new legal docs in their divorce and is asking the court to make the mogul sit for a deposition. She wants her lawyers to grill Dre for 8 hours about the validity of their prenup and another 13 hours to dig into financial issues. This, according to a new legal doc obtained by TMZ. In the docs, Nicole says Dre's already skipped a couple of previously scheduled depositions. She claims the explanation simple. His entire career and public persona are based on defiance of authority, violence, and refusal to comply with the law. So how is this all going to work out? Can they force him to kind of probe him in court?
Yeah, I mean, it's different in court than in these celebrities' regular lives. They still have to follow the court rules. The courts in LA are used to seeing celebrities. So you still have to sit for your depositions. You still have to show up in court. You still have to do the things that the law requires you to do. So you may try to get away with it, for a bit, and you may be able to because you can claim, oh, I have this show or this important thing, and there may be a little more leeway because you're such a high profile career. But ultimately, yes, he's going to have to sit for it. And if he doesn't comply, then there's sanctions and lots of fines he'll have to pay.
Okay. Let's see. According to this article, Omaha.com. I've never seen this. So I imagine this is Omaha, Nebraska. Have you been there before?
I haven't.
See, I have not been close to that place. So here we go. Divorce is hard. 6 ways to help someone that's going through it. So number 1 is check your own heart and decide if you can show up without judgment or offering advice or should. Number 2, if you feel like you can't physically or emotionally be present with the person, that's okay too. Maybe actually better that you send a short text, a card in the mail, a box of Kleenex outside their office door, just a hug and passing to let the person know you care. Number 3, bring comfort food. My comfort food's always fried chicken for some reason. I'm like, get me a bucket from KFC. Okay. Number 4, offer to watch the kids for an hour or two to your friend or family member to nap, cry, or go to the grocery store alone. I'd opt for the nap. Number 5, generously offer a free pass to your friend or family member who's going through a divorce. Allow them to skip the things that they should be attending, like family gatherings. This may not be the time for the person to attend that big family wedding that could be triggering. Number 6, understand that divorce can be a long road. There are still days, many years removed, where I need this same kind of love and care from the people in my life.
Yeah. Well, I think that those are all good tips. You know, going through a divorce is one of the hardest things that many people do, and they need a lot of support. And at the end of the day, when everybody goes home and you're left home alone and you used to have a spouse there, it's lonely. And I think that all of those are really nice things to do. I think it's also important to remember that, like with the loss of anything, a lot of people come out at the beginning and are really supportive and try to help you through it. But at some point, those people fade away, and then you're left, you know, alone again. So it's important to be there through the whole process, not just at the beginning, and to think about your friends who are going through this hard time, you know, not just when it starts, but through the whole thing, which can take years. And so maybe you can let other people do the immediate rushing to their side, but maybe you pop in later in the time frame so that they have somebody with them ongoing, not just at that beginning stage.
Yeah, I think you should let you know they want to hang out.
Yeah. But sometimes they might not know what they need, you know, and sometimes you have to kind of push it because they don't know what they need. Some people go through depression.
I'm not familiar with this next one. I guess this is if you're like a Dancing with the Stars fan. From twofab.com. So it's like quite short for too fabulous or too fabby. I don't too.
Sounds like maybe
anyway.
Too fabulous.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Here we go. Jana Kramer and Mike Costin revealed divorce bombshell. I called him screaming through divorce. Okay. Though they've since reconciled, the couple confirms Mike filed for divorce while in rehab. The two are no strangers to divorce rumors, but until now, nobody knew Costin actually filed once in their marriage. During the latest episode of their Wind Down podcast, the two revealed the surprising news while reading a passage from their upcoming book, The Good Fight. According to the couple, Costin filed for divorce in 2016 while he was in rehab for sex addiction, and she was competing on Dancing with the Stars, saying she was in an all-out war with her emotions at the time. Kramer recalled the terrible phone conversations they'd have. Whenever he would call me from rehab, I would lash out at him, tell him I didn't want anything to do with him. She said, reading the book, I would hang up and realize that I had no idea what direction my life was headed in. One night, immediately after I finished doing the jive on the show, my manager sat me down and said, Mike filed for divorce. She continued, I thought, he did what? I called him screaming, how could you file for divorce? That's what I'm supposed to do. How dare you?
Wow. Well, a lot of people have that initial, like, I have to be the one who files first because, like, I get some kind of advantage. But really, there is no advantage to being the one to file first, aside from maybe choosing the courthouse it's in, but there's not a lot of choices. It's based on where you live. I think it's more of an emotional reason people want to file first. They want to be able to say, look, I'm the one that started it. I'm the one who left you. But in reality, it doesn't matter. And a divorce is going to happen whether one party wants it and the other doesn't, or both people want it. And sometimes the one who filed doesn't want it anymore and the other one does. And it still goes forward because one of them wants it. So you don't have to be the one to file first, and you don't need to fight about it. It's one one fight that's really not worth having.
Yeah, there was an exclamation point here. So me first. I should have said it with more exclamation. All right, here we go. Here's one. The dailybreeze.com. Someone asked, can I go through divorce without an attorney? Ask the lawyer. We've been separated for a year and have now decided to call it quits. I met with a few divorce attorneys, but their prices seem awfully steep. Isn't this something I can do myself?
So you can do divorces yourself. You don't need an attorney. You can get the paperwork from the court or online and file it yourself. Sometimes if it's a really simple divorce, that can work, but it's not always advisable because you won't have any legal advice. Sometimes you're not putting things in the papers that should be in there that will clarify future problems. And, sometimes we run into the issue that it costs more to clean up what you did in the divorce on your own later than it would have if you just hired an attorney in the first place. So unless it's a really, really simple divorce without disputes, I wouldn't recommend doing it on your own, because having it done right the first time is probably going to save you money in the end.
Okay, there's a follow-up question here. What are the basics on financial disclosure in a divorce case?
So in a divorce, you do need to disclose all of your assets, even if they're separate property. Everything has to be fully disclosed, and all of your income and expenses. And that way, when you're deciding how to divide property, there's just full disclosure on everything, and everybody knows what everyone has and what's on the table.
Okay. In this part of the show, we're going to go over posts. Kind of what we did here kind of overlaps. The first post, it says here, it's my anniversary and I'm okay. After 8 years together, but only 5 months after our blissful wedding, my 32-year-old husband decided he didn't know who he was, packed a bag, and left me, just like that. It was sudden and I was heartbroken. I begged, I gave him space. I fought for the relationship. I forgave a lot of selfish and hurtful behavior. I kept all his belongings stored away carefully. I made every change he asked of me. I took him back and we reconciled for 5 months. Just under 2 years ago, shortly after our first wedding anniversary, he left again, this time for good. That hurt too, but I saw it coming and I wasn't giving him a third chance. I'm glad I had the self-respect to walk away. I packed all his stuff promptly and had him come get it while I was away, then cut all contact. It hurt like hell for a long time. We got divorced early last year. I started dating, but only casually while I worked on myself in therapy. I don't know who needs to hear this, but it gets better and faster than you might imagine. Take care of yourself, go to therapy, reinvest in your friendships, and you'll get there.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, you tried to make it work. It doesn't sound like they could have done anything more. Sometimes when you reconcile, it sticks, and sometimes it doesn't. But it's always worth a shot, because if you can save your marriage, then you should try. But sometimes the problems are just too deep, or sometimes the problems with the other person, and it has nothing to do with you, but there's nothing you can do. You can't change people. So acceptance is a big part of this, and realizing you've done what you can and there's nothing else you can do.
Okay, the next one, here we go. How do you leave someone you love? I love my husband, who I've been married to for 9 years. However, I cannot stay with him anymore. He's cheated constantly since we've been married, and I cannot take it anymore, along with other issues. I've saved up some money so I can move out. However, I'm afraid to make the leap. Not only do I not want to hurt him, but it's heartbreaking just thinking of not having him in my life. How do you move on from this person?
That's hard. That sounds like one of those situations where, you love them, but it's not good for you. And it takes a lot of therapy. It's the same thing. It's a simplistic example, but somebody who loves chocolate and it wants to lose weight, and you love the thing that is, harming you. It's the same thing. You need to have whatever kind of therapy or treatment will help you move past this, and whatever it is that's making that person stay, they need to work on it and resolve it.
Let's see. Next one, resource recommendations to talk to my kids. This is always a tough one. My wife left me, took the kids, and has not given me a reason for this. She filed, and I am taking an appropriate response by hiring a lawyer. Either way, I'm not sure how and what she has said to my kids, but I'm trying to communicate this reality to them as best I can. Anyone know of a good resource to talk to kids on when the parent they are with makes a decision to leave the other? Just for the record, I do not support this, and I will not concede to the divorce due to religious reasons, and there are no grounds.
So, I mean, in California, it doesn't matter if you agree to the divorce or not, it's going to happen. But this may be in another state where it requires agreement for divorce. But regarding the children, there are lots of good resources out there. There's good books, and there's parenting specialists that you can talk to who will help you figure out how the best way to talk to the children and make sure that they aren't brainwashed by the other parent and coached, and help you to stop any potential alienation that could be occurring. So I would suggest reaching out to parenting specialists in the area who can help to teach you the right things to say.
Okay. Well, wow, this has gone fast. This is our last post we have time for today. And this one's kind of on the lighter side. Does it get better? I'm new to divorce. In the middle of one, I've lost my home, my kids, and my financial support. To finally be happy at the end of the marriage, I started working on bettering myself, pursuing hobbies and better health, and did not sit well with my ex-husband. His lack of support and actions helped me make the decision to get divorced. I'm leaving out a lot, but does the emptiness ever get better? I'm so lonely sometimes. The few friends I have are being suffocated, and I'm worried about losing them too.
I'm not sure how that's lighter, but
I read it. The title was lighter, and then it just got dark.
Well, I think that person really needs to find a support group, like some kind of divorce support group, so they can talk to people who are going through the same situation. Friends are supportive and helpful, but you don't want to push them away. You don't want to overburden them. So finding some kind of group where you have weekly or twice weekly meetings and you can talk about this stuff would be really helpful.
Yeah, I'm into this Nextdoor. Is it Nextdoor app?
Yeah, Nextdoor.
Yeah, there's all kinds of people wanting to go on hikes and stuff. So I'm sure
Yeah, exactly. Make some hike dates. Talk about
like that. Yeah, or like honey. Like I saw some there's a honey club or something. People are into that. So yeah. So there you have it. This has been a quick episode with lots of topics. So anything going on in the divorce world that you see locally, maybe?
Nothing really new. Just I feel like as time goes on and things start to open up, the divorce rate's definitely increasing. But if you ever have questions, you can contact us. We post the video on Twitter and Facebook. Sorry, not Twitter usually, but I am on Twitter, Facebook, and Spotify. And where else do we post? Do we post on LinkedIn?
YouTube.
And YouTube. So you have lots of ways to reach us.
Yeah, so you're on Twitter. I know you're probably reading the Trump tweets.
You gotta read them.
I know, they're so entertaining. I can't. I just have to mute it sometimes. He's a good stand-up comedian. I mean, I don't know. He just has good timing. Might be off, but it's funny sometimes.
He's an actor. He comes from the acting world.
Yeah. So okay. Well, see you all next time on the Life After D podcast.